So, one of my students pulled up a really cool past life in the Akashic Records that was in World War II. So, it's the last week of my class, and I teach the Akashic Records in it. And by the end of level one, you should be able to use them. So, I challenged one of my students to pull up a past life of hers. So, I was asked, pull up a significant past life once you're in the records. And she starts pulling up a life. And she's like, okay, I'm male and it looks like I'm a pilot. And I was like, oh, interesting. Does this feel like wartime? And she's like, yeah. And so I'm like, okay, what time period does this feel like? What time period is this? And she's like, it's 40s. And I was like, be more specific. And she's like, 1943. I see, she got it clear as day. I was like, okay. So I started asking details about him. Is he tall? Is he short? We both decided he's probably about 5'11". He has a sweetheart at home. He's gonna marry. He met her on a break when came home from the war. He met her and he'd been talking to her and writing her letters. And he was gonna marry her after the war. Actually, we saw in the records. And so I was like, okay, about how old is he? He's 24 years old in 1943. So I looked up and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's World War II. I looked it up. I was pretty sure, but World War II goes from 1935 to 1945. So it's 1943, almost the end of the war. He's 24 years old. I was like, okay, cool. And those are the dates she picked up. I counted back to 1935 when the war started. How old was he? He was 18. So potentially it looks like as soon as he graduated high school, he started fighting in the war, and he's still doing it by the time he was 24. So anyway, I just thought that was super interesting. She went on to say that he lived until he was I think it was the late 50s, and that's when he passed away. And the girl in question, she was born in the 80s, which I think is such an interesting turnaround, because hearing these past life stories. And then I also went a step further and I asked her spirit guides. I was like, let's ask them why they showed her this life in particular, the last one she just had. And they said that they showed her this one as her first one, the first one I ever made her do by herself and pull up, because it was the one most fresh in her mind and most easily accessible to her, because it was her last one she did. So I just thought that was really cool.